there's a growing awareness among people of the underlying spiritual nature in all things. We all want to unite with the energy that makes and guides the universe, but it is the way we see reality that stops us from learning our true nature and purpose. Our mission is to uncover evidence and explain the mysteries which connect science and spirituality. By seeking out those with remarkable insight who are willing to come forth and disclose valuable information, we hope to find the truth about human potential, what we really are, and where we came from. If we answer this, we answer everything. There are those, however, who would not want us to succeed. To begin our journey of discovery, we searched for someone who thinks outside the box, someone who could show us a different way of viewing the world. We found John Hutchison, the discoverer of a collection of strange phenomena known as the Hutchison effect.
We're gonna go see John Hutchison, who has some sort of anti-gravity device.
Right, and his whole apartment is built all around these buttons and gadgets and stuff.
So how in the world does he make this incredible device in a tiny apartment here in Vancouver?
I have no idea.
You know what? I think I just found it.
Wow. Look at that.
That's
amazing.
Incredible. He's got an anti-aircraft gun. He's got a generator. He's got a transformer up there. This guy is...
A bell, too.
This is amazing. I've never seen anything like this.
Wow. Let's go meet him.
Yeah, we're gonna check this guy out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or it's right here.
Right there. All right, he's gonna come down. There he is.
Hey, John?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
How are you? Dominique, nice to finally meet you.
Pleasure, ma'am.
Hey, I'm Rob.
Hi, Rob. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
That's good to hear.
I'm not sure what to expect. How can his laboratory also be his apartment? My intuition tells me that he is sincere and wants to share his discoveries with others.
Okay, so this is the laboratory.
This is the laboratory. And behind this unusual door, you'll find a lot of unique things. And on the door, of course.
Central
Okay.
Intelligence Agency.
Yes.
I see we're not the first people who've been here.
No, there's been a lot of interesting folks that have been here.
All right, let's take a look behind
Let's
it.
see. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Here we
Door
go.
Number 3 here.
Wow. Look at all these buttons and gadgets. I've never seen anything like this before.
On the floor, there's an amazing amount of metal samples from the 1980s experiments.
Wow.
Thought I'd drag them out and save
gold
time
one.
by dragging them out that way.
Is this gold?
Oh, that's actually brass.
So this is what happens when the metals are affected by this gravitational field.
That's right, yes. Sometimes they'll lift up or they'll turn into jelly or fall apart or actually convert into another unknown alloy.
And how long does it take for it to get mushy?
It can take a few minutes, sometimes seconds, and it just turns into, looks like a pile of gooey metallic stuff, and it just starts moving around, falls apart, and stays that way after the machines are turned off.
So by changing the frequencies, you can change the effect that it has on these different objects.
Pretty well, yes. Yes, the heaviest object I levitated was 1,500 pounds, and then another team did it too, in the bigger labs.
And it's not heat. There's some other process that's going on.
Some other process working on the atomic level, I believe.
Yeah. It's
The radio waves and unusual things.
You ever put any organic substances on this thing?
Actually, we did. We put our dinners in there one time. See what happened. And, well, it tasted good.
So you have a toilet here.
Yeah, the throne. She's inspecting it. Oh, my goodness grief. Believe it or not,
How do you do it?
I sit there and take my vitamins all in one kind of operation.
So what's this right here?
That's a transmission unit. That I use in some of my experiments. It's a naval piece. And I'll be turning that on a little shortly.
How come so much of this stuff is radio gear?
It's all naval radio transmission gear and receiving units. And I use the high voltage and power supplies and that, converting them into usable power like a Tesla coil has energy. Well, I don't need the sparks, I just need the energy from the different machines.
So most of your stuff is ex-military.
All ex-military.
We're talking, what, 1,000,000 volts, 100 million volts?
Oh, no voltage like that. No, that's in the big labs that used to have that, but roughly about 20,000, 30,000 volts.
Now, some of the stuff looks like oscilloscopes. Some of it looks like it's transmitting equipment, receiving two-way equipment. We see just about everything having to do with radio. Do you need to generate radio signals on all frequencies or just specific ones?
I had to do multi-band radio frequencies for the experiments, and along with that, I also generate electrostatic power.
Didn't you get raided by the government?
There was a major raid in 1991.
Okay. Who raided you?
1990. Government guys, but I was in Europe at the time, so they took the entire 22-ton lab and
They took all the stuff.
all the stuff.
Really?
Buried it and put it in barrels, and they tried to keep it a secret, but the main newspapers, Vancouver Sun, found out about it and put it headline news.
So all these samples now are again, a result of your various tweaking of your equipment and your experiments. Have you ever had metal just react in a way that perhaps it just disintegrated or exploded or anything like that?
We had large bars of it where the end of it would just simply not explode, but just fall apart into a soft, unknown alloy.
John, can you try and show us an experiment?
I can show you an experiment, which will probably happen within here. What I have in that area, that's another room, a machine room, actually, but in the center of it is some of the high voltage equipment and test samples. And I got a small video cam to see what I'm doing, because I'll be operating all the controls around in here. Yep, that's good. And go way back in the back here and turn on the other machines. We engage certain Klystron power supply units. And what I'm doing is adjusting some high voltage in there along with electrostatic energy and RF fields. Go with this guy here.
Okay, John, what is that wheel that you turn, that you're turning to change the energy? What is that?
That's actually a phase shifting wheel.
Okay.
It activates generators in the other room, and I can shift phase negative or positive, one way or the other.
All right.
And I have an indicator system here that shows me up here when I'm doing it. Or also a gauge system where you can probably see it here, negative or positive. If I do it slow, and then I have the main one up here. And that engages what they call variometers. What their variometer is a coil and has an inner coil that tilts back and forth a little bit. So the RF frequency or radio waves are then caught and manipulated through phase shifting. This unit goes into a CM11, which is a old-style Navy transmitter. Basically here it's just more or less monitoring or running those pieces of equipment. I think I'm doing all right here. I got everything on. Power up energy here.
I'm just gonna rest my hand on this 50 caliber machine gun.
Kind of oily.
Yeah, okay. I can hear something powering up. That's incredible.
Well, that's interesting. Now, I've taken heat into consideration. If there's spark gaps in that, they heat up and the frequencies adjust. So what I try and do is compensate all the time.
Okay.
And these instrumentations, they help me a little bit on determining that.
Nothing's happening.
Or overheated a bit. Can't tell from the monitor, but I'll try. I got it cranked to max. Yeah, we've got a spike there, but
Yeah. Oh.
got something levitating in there.
It's levitating.
Dominique, we're gonna shut it down now.
Okay.
Oh, John, what we saw was really interesting. You had this canister that seemed to levitate and be spinning. You have things just randomly scattered around, and this field could affect them regardless of where they're positioned?
Yes, actually the range on the fields is up to 300 feet. It was measured by Los Alamos in 1983. Now, in this apartment, everything's so congested that it affects other people's stuff upstairs or next door and that. It is a problem trying to do anything really in this confined space.
Okay, now this is really interesting.
This one here is, again, it's aluminum bar stock with a kitchen knife that sat on top and floated inside of the metal, and we...
Floated inside the metal?
Yeah.
So it was like, this part was melting, and then it's like it was floating on top of water kind of thing?
Kind of like that, and it just sort of fell inside the metal and stopped after we machined it down to expose the actual knife itself.
Let me ask you, the experiments that you're doing here, does that recreate the Hutchinson effect, or is that only done at an industrial lab?
Well, no, here the original Hutchinson effect is created, but not on such a dynamic level as in the industrial spaces because of the problem with power.
Not enough juice around here, huh?
Not enough juice in here.
How come the government isn't using this technology to build cars? And instead of using gasoline, which pollutes the air, isn't there something like free energy that we could use and implement into a vehicle?
Oh, there's all types of free energy out there.
Yeah.
It's known as zero-point energy, and it's pretty well a bona fide energy source. But in the matter of national security, these guys are keeping it to themselves and experimenting in the national laboratories with this technology.
Do you think the military is using anti-gravity technology for their aircraft?
Oh, for sure. They used the high voltage already years ago for the stealth bomber. Give it an extra lifting power. They cover it in a certain material, and then they add high voltage to it, and that gives it a kind of an extended wing.
Thanks for showing us the equipment. We really had a very electrifying time here.
Actually, so did I.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure, man.
Thanks, John.
Great.
Off to the next adventure we are.
Okay,
That's
sir.
right.
Have fun. Don't get lost out there.
We could barely move through the narrow spaces in John's apartment, but somehow he seems to have enough room to generate these high-frequency currents that levitates objects, fuses different materials together, and spontaneously fractures metal. According to John, the Hutchinson effect occurs as a result of combining radio waves and high-voltage sources, such as Tesla coils. If this zero-point energy can be converted into usable power, it's no wonder the military was interested.
We needed to find another person involved with zero-point energy. My research led us to Las Vegas, Nevada, to a man named Ralph Ring, a gifted and intuitive researcher and developer who helped to build and test pilot flying discs in the late 1950s and early 1960s. Hello.
Well, hello. How you doing?
How are you? Dominique.
I'm doing fine. Welcome.
Thank
welcome
you.
Welcome to Las Vegas.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Come on in. Yeah, sure. Welcome to our home.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking some time. We're really interested to talk to you about these flying saucers that
Well,
you have not only been building, but flying from what we hear.
Yes.
Well, we started, at least I started back in the late 50s and early 60s. We've rebuilt, redesigned them for years after that. We want to now turn them into a form of habitation and transportation for people, so that their home will be their transportation as well.
Ralph, by we, who do you mean exactly?
Oh, okay. Well, I should fill you in on that, I guess. Nikola Tesla was a great inventor and a great humanitarian. Well, Tesla wanted to get into his field, which was free, if you will, energy that comes from the surroundings. He was hired by J.P. Morgan to work with Westinghouse and Edison companies on the East Coast. And Tesla says, I've got it made. I think we can now transmit electrical power through the Earth, through the ionosphere, without any wires or telephone poles. If you gave a device, like a free energy device, a generator that would service all their needs in their home for free, they could then bring out their creative talents, which they were born with and been suppressed because they've had to toil for a living. They could be tremendous artists beyond our dreams, tremendous engineers beyond our dreams. J.P. Morgan was not buying it. He said, no, we're going to have to tear this stuff down. So Tesla kind of pulled back into himself and decided, well, I guess it's not time for this. Well, at that time, he was living in the New Yorker Hotel, actually, in New York. And there was a fellow by the name of Otis Carr who he's going to school, and to supplement his income, he worked as a clerk in this hotel. And Tesla and him became acquainted, and Carr was a sponge. He loved science in every way, shape, or form, but he was a natural science. He believed in the same thing Tesla did, that there's no limits to natural science, and everything should be on a simple level. Tesla said, they're not interested in my time. I want you to take everything I can teach you and go in your time and see if they'll listen to you. And if you don't make it, you're going to have to pass it on, because at the rate we're going, we're on a self-destructive course. Carr said, I will, and he got his own lab started and started really getting into a lot of free energy devices and building them.
So he built a spaceship?
Mm-hmm. He's building small spaceships then, and he had different sizes, different models.
So tell us how you met Otis Carr and how you began working with these flying saucers.
There's a company, Advanced Kinetics, in Costa Mesa. That's where we were living, in Costa Mesa, California. And they're looking for a research and development laboratory technician. They gave me a job, they put me in the research lab, and I was inventing ideas all day long. I just loved it because I like to invent simple ways of doing hard things.
And was Otis Carr working there too?
No. I told some friends about this and what I was doing, and he said, well, come to our group. We've got a group here called Understanding. It was created by a gentleman by the name of Daniel Fry in California. We could talk about things that were unlimited, not limited. I said, my mission is to see that we have habitation and transportation in one vehicle. And he said, well, you sound like a guy that's back east getting in trouble right now. His name is Otis Carr. And he put in a patent for a levitation device, and they wouldn't give him the patent. He said, you've got to pull that levitation out and anchor it on the ground, and we'll give you a patent on an amusement device. You cannot use levitation. They brought him out to California. They said, here's your lab. It was all built. It had living quarters. It had machine shops.
That's where you did most of your work, I imagine. And this is where you guys worked on the spaceship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How long did it take to develop this craft?
Day and night, 24/7, we were building these small prototypes. And they would range anywhere from 12 inches to 3 feet to 6 feet, to, in size.
And they actually flew. They actually levitated.
Oh, yeah.
And what was the source of the power?
Well, it was magnetic in nature. And
you were actually building these for people to sit in. I mean, not just models.
These were prototypes just to prove what we wanted, and then graduate up to where human habitation could get on board and operate them.
If you could explain to us very simply how this device, how these craft work.
In those days, we had counter-rotating wheels, one going clockwise and another going counterclockwise. We had a capacitor, we had small magnets, and we had what's called a Utron. It was a double tetrahedron. That's 2 ice cream cones put with the open ends together.